Wow. I need to share this with you guys. But you know that Pfizer came out with documents. You know, they was ordered by the court to come out with these documents every month. And they released some documents here on April the 1st. And it wasn't April Fools. It's not April Fools. They was talking about natural immunity, how strong natural immunity is, adverse effects of this vaccines, and also how the first dose of the vaccination brings down your immune system. But it's amazing. And Pfizer and these big pharmaceutical companies should be sued. You know, they withheld this information trying to get everybody vaccinated. Everybody, you probably know my story. My wife and I, we had COVID in February 2021. So we went through quarantine for 14 days and we get our antibodies checked quarterly. And my wife's antibodies is probably 4 or 5 times higher than mine. So we got natural immunities. And I'm glad that I haven't taken the vaccine yet. Now I see that natural immunity is as strong or maybe stronger than the vaccine. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys listen to some of this with me together, and I'll put the full link of this interview here in the description. And Kyrie Irving is able to play in home games in New York now. They dropped the mandates. So everything's working out like it should be, you know, and a lot of these videos that was deleted that they said was misinformation are being re-uploaded. But anyway, watch this with me and you leave comments and tell me what you think.
Well, another round of Pfizer documents have dropped. This is part of the 340,000 some odd pages the FDA and Pfizer wanted to release over the course of several decades. But instead, the group requesting the documents sued, and a judge ordered the FDA to make them available by the end of this year. Well, each round of documents is to be delivered on the 1st of each month. So this past April 1st, no joke, over 11,000 pages were released. Between these documents and another document released on March 24th to the group, a group called Public Health and Medical Professionals for Transparency, we've learned some bombshells. The first bombshell in the document is that natural immunity works and Pfizer knows it. The clinical trial data showed those with previous infection of COVID had no difference in outcome than those vaccinated. In the limited trial, none of the vaccinated nor those with previous infection resulted in severe disease defined by either the FDA or the CDC. They were broken up into 2 different groups. The FDA and the CDC define severe COVID slightly differently. The CDC roughly defines it as anyone needing hospitalization, whereas the FDA defines it as anyone needing supplemental oxygen. Either way, there were 0 cases of severe COVID in the natural immunity group, whether they were vaccinated or not. And their own data also showed that natural immunity was statistically identical to the vaccine against infection. That's what their data showed. Yet, rather than say people with natural immunity don't seem to need the vaccine, which is what they've been saying in Europe, for example, Pfizer instead spun their conclusion and said, quote, final efficacy results show that the vaccine provided protection against COVID-19 in participants with or without evidence of prior infection with SARS-CoV-2. Another revelation from the documents was that adverse reactions were more frequent and more severe in younger groups. The document reads, quote, reactogenicity and adverse events were generally milder and less frequent in participants in the older group compared with younger group, and overall tended to increase with increasing vaccine dose. Older is defined as 55 and older, and the study itself was for 16 and above. So the side effects were more frequent and more severe in people under 55, even though we know the younger you are, the less likely you're to experience severe COVID. According to The Lancet, 16-year-olds have a 99.993% chance of surviving COVID. A 30-year-old is at 99.943%. At 50, their survivability is 99.572%. Only once you hit 60 does it drop below 99%. And it interestingly states some facts that have been labeled by the mainstream media as being misinformation. The consent form lists several possible side effects, including myocarditis, which many of us know about. But the document says the rate of occurrence is 10 in 100,000 people. And they don't specify age or gender. So that's much higher than previously reported rates of 1 in 50,000 people. Even then, we know the bulk of those cases are in younger males. So when controlling for age and gender, the risk significantly increases. The consent form also states, quote, the effects of the COVID-19 vaccine on sperm, a pregnancy, a fetus, or a nursing child are not known. And this is something that has caused a lot of younger women and parents of teen girls hesitation, which they were demonized over. And people have worried that there could be long-term side effects affecting fertility. Despite these scientists admitting in this consent form that they simply do not know, it has been espoused as fact that the vaccines don't have any adverse effects on reproduction whatsoever. But the fact is, we simply don't know. Another idea condemned as a conspiracy theory is what's called an ADE response, antibody-dependent reaction. This is when a vaccine ends up triggering a worse illness than what the person would normally experience. And doctors like Robert Malone, who have been sounding the alarm of this as a possible reaction to mRNA vaccines, have been demonized and smeared, yet the consent form clearly states, quote, although not seen to date, it cannot yet be ruled out that the study vaccine could make a later COVID-19 illness more severe. So if it were really not even something to be concerned about, the form wouldn't even bring it up. Yet here it is saying they can't rule it out yet. One other interesting admission from the document dump is this statement, quote, clinical laboratory evaluations showed a transient decrease in lymphocytes that was observed in all age and dose groups after dose 1, which resolved within approximately 1 week. So in plain English, this means white blood cell counts dropped in that 1 week after the first dose of the vaccine. So this is leaving a person with a weakened immune system for a week after getting the first dose of the vaccine. So there's a lot of things that we could speculate from this, like, is this why we saw sudden spikes in cases in countries that began mass vaccination campaigns, with people weakened immune systems, were they all catching the virus a lot more vulnerable to catching the virus suddenly for that little period of time? Also, since people weren't even considered partially vaccinated until a week or so after getting the dose, did this skew the infection rate? If you got a bunch of immunocompromised people for that week running around and then catching the virus and then they're considered unvaccinated, is that fair? These are questions that kind of leads us towards. But in the least, it seems like this would be good information for people to know about. Wouldn't you want to know that your immune system is perhaps compromised for a week? You'd maybe be more careful. We're at least learning about it now, even though we didn't know about it before, but now we're learning about it because of the data the FDA and Pfizer didn't want released. We're finally seeing it.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Just imagine what other documents going to be coming out. This is, but anyway, I just wanted to share this information with you guys. If you've had COVID and you got natural immunities, you're well protected. But anyway, before, maybe a year ago, they probably would have deleted this video, but I think they'll let it stay up. But again, subscribe to my channel and have a great day.